How's it going, guys? It's Nathan from Nathan's DIY Garage, and we're going to take this 530 back today, and I want to share with you guys what the problem ended up being with too much pressure in the radiator. Okay, so yesterday's video, I changed the thermostat on this car. It wasn't because of this problem. That was because they had a code for mechanical jamming. Took it off, changed that fixed that problem. We also did the oil catch can on it, and I'm trying to clean up the intake a little bit. We're getting a little bit too much condensation and crap in the intake, and that problem is taken care of. Runs and drives great, no problems at all. The only small issue we're having is when we come back from a drive, there'll be a little bit of coolant dripping out around the cap. And you know, like I said, no matter what you did, it would do that. And it wouldn't do it all the time, but I noticed when you run it, and even after you let it cool off, the hoses stay hard. You know, now you can see they're really soft. So the other problem was, you drive it, you can even let it sit overnight, even for 2 days. When you go take the radiator cap off, there's too much pressure in it. And, you know, I mean, not a tremendous amount, but it was hard to get the cap off. A lot of air would be in it, and then when it drip out, you have to loosen the bleed screw, let some air off of it, and then you get it open. Now, the coolant never was low, so the problem was pretty minor. So this car, we did do the time surge. It does have a Victor Rines head gasket. It does have all the good stuff on it. We've never had a problem with that in the past. The only head gasket problems we ever had was using eBay no-name head gasket. That was too thin. That did not work. And on our blue E46, we had to go back and retorque the head bolts. I already checked these on this one. There was no problems with that at all. Went ahead and did a leak down test on it. You know, you have pressure in there. The first thing you think of is head gasket. That's not always the case. So did a leak down test. It was perfect. Compression test. It was perfect. You know, and one trick I always do in the head gasket cars, you start it without this on, without the cap on, check for any bubbles. You smell the coolant. If you can smell exhaust in the coolant, you're in trouble. Also, go to the back of the car, smell the exhaust. If you smell any coolant coming out the exhaust when it's running, you have a head gasket problem or a time surge issue. So all that checked out perfect. I mean, really good. So we knew that wasn't a problem. I'm thinking, man, you know, is there another problem? Is there a water pump problem? We put the metal impeller pump in this thing. We've already changed the thermostat. We know that's not the problem. You know, I was thinking, is there a blockage in the overflow tank? What's going on with this car? Well, I got to do some talking to some of you guys that run shops. You know, I don't know everything. I never have proclaimed that. I am more than open to any kind of advice. Some of you guys gave me real good advice. You said you've had this problem before. It was the radiator was the problem. So luckily, I'm the kind of person that has another radiator sitting around, and we had this guy here, our little parts pile. That's the one that came out of this car. So the original one was broken, right? That was the original problem with this car. It was busted around here. We threw that radiator away. We put this Chinese radiator in it. You know, I don't think anything is wrong with the radiator, but there is one thing. This car had a bunch of stop leak in it when we got it. So we tried to flush everything out. We cleaned the heater valve out back here. You know, try to get everything cleaned out. But what a lot of you guys told me, a lot of times stop leak will stop up. The parts go into this water neck. Now I took the water neck off. Had some crap in it. It wasn't stopped up. But we're thinking probably a lot of the coils in the radiator were stopped up. So, you know, thought, well, what the hell? What is it? 30 minutes, 100 degrees outside. It's probably an hour to change the radiator. Went ahead and swapped it out. Started it up, filled it up. You know, got all the air out of it. Took it for a drive, came back, turned it off. I cannot hear any air escaping from the cap like I could before. You know, the hoses were normal hard, nothing out of the ordinary. Let it cool off for 2 hours. Came out here, turned the cap off. There was no pressure hardly at all. Perfectly normal. So that fixed this problem. A lot of you guys don't give up on your engine. especially after you've done a head gasket. You could have another issue with it. They don't always crack the heads. They don't always blow the gasket, you know, especially after they've been time started like this one has. That is extremely rare unless the car has been severely overheated, and this one has not. And you can see here, we drove it this morning. Hose is soft. Tiniest bit of air. And there we go. And it's about 3 inches below. The little bobber comes all the way up. This right here is from when I tipped it off last night. And that is perfectly normal. No problems at all. We'll probably go ahead and drive it one more time just to be 1000% for sure for this guy. This thing has definitely been a pain in the butt. We stuck with it. We helped these people out, and we have it all solved up for them. This car should run for a very long time with hardly any problems at all.